So with that in mind, how can we encourage everyone to feel comfortable exercising, no matter what your size or shape is? That's a question I've been exploring with Lynn Bai. Now, Lynn is the co-founder of a successful clothing brand called Fat Lad at the Back, which produces cycling gear and activewear in plus sizes. Her company was initially rejected for investment 9 years ago by the wealthy investors in TV series Dragon's Den, but since then has gone from strength to strength. When Lynn and her husband Richard walked into the den in 2014, they came in for quite a bit of flack over the naming of their brand. Here's a flavour of what happened.
Duncan Bannatyne has a few thoughts about their brand to get off his chest.
When you name your product Fat Lad at the Back, that's the only customer you're going to get. You're not going to get...
It's actually not... That's not necessarily true. You don't have to be fat to be a fat lad at the back. Do you know what I mean? It's more of a...
No, I don't know what you mean. If it says Fat Lad at the Back...
cycling, there's always somebody that is at the back.
Yeah, but why do you call them a fat lad?
Well, no, they're not always fat.
What if it was me at the back?
That's the impression.
What if it's me at the back, and I'm not a fat lad, I just happen to be the oldest person there, and I can't go up the hill any faster.
You're the old fat lad at the back.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Peter.
I'm not a fat lad.
No, but you are, metaphorically speaking.
Now, I completely understand it's a turn of phrase, isn't it? Yeah, it doesn't matter. It could be the skinniest person on that bike, up in that group. You could say, oh, he's the fat lad at the back.
Yeah.
But I do have a problem with the brand because, unfortunately, it is a little bit too closely descriptive of the person that you want to attract.
You want to bring out, then, a female range. Would you wear fat girl at the back?
That's my point. That's the point.
What did you say?
Exactly.
Fat lass at the back.
Fat lass at the back. Are you serious? Is that
Well,
really?
a lot of people...
Children's range, yeah? Fat kid at the back?
No, we're not.
I don't think you could do the kids,
quite
could
doing
you?
that, but there's...
So, guys, listen, I'm going to be really quick.
Okay.
They can interrupt as much as they like. If they, my point is, I get all of the bits you're talking about, so don't think I misunderstand it. But unfortunately, that isn't going to help you. Because I get it, but I still worry about it.
Yeah, they didn't quite like the name there, did they? Well, that was then, and this is now. And you might say that Lynn and Richard have had the last laugh as the brand has grown and grown over the past decade and is now sold in nearly 90 countries worldwide. I asked Lynn how the idea for her business came about.
My husband was a fat cyclist and could not find anything to wear whatsoever. And one day he had a bit of an epiphany. He realised that he was not the only fat cyclist out there. There were loads of lads just the same size as him, and he thought, hang on, they can't get anything to wear, I can't get anything to wear. Let's set up a cycle wear business and let's name it after my nickname, which was Fat Lad at the Back. And he did have some other nicknames, but we definitely couldn't have put those on a jersey. And that is it.
What was the description that your husband said that he looked like?
Oh, a badly packed sausage, yeah. So, I mean, we spent hours, like countless hours in changing... Well, he spent hours in changing rooms, me standing outside going, oh, gosh, no. Yeah, I mean, it was sort of like ridiculous, and everything was very short in the body, so his belly was sticking out, and it was really demoralising, and he's a really confident bloke. So he just resorted to wearing like a baggy sort of tech tee thing that he'd managed to find and cobbled together some shorts, and everybody else was in proper Lycra road gear, and he was this sort of misfit at the back of the pack, but very fast on the downhills, I would hasten to add. So so that's really where the idea came from. So we started and we thought, okay, well, we'll go up to a size 48-inch chest. Quickly realised that wasn't big enough. Then we went up to a 52-inch chest. It still wasn't big enough, so we introduced this thing called the spare tyre range, and that's kind of like it's a bit of a one-size-fits-all, but it's a 54, 58-inch chest, and we do... As well as cycle wear, we do triathlon suits in that size and we sell them, and our customers are doing triathlons. I think that's just amazing because it really books the concept that if you are fat, you are not fit. Our customers demonstrate constantly to us that fat is fit.
At what point, Lynn, did you start to think that this was an idea that could go somewhere?
Well, straight away, actually, to be honest with you, because it just sort of took off and people resonated with the brand so much and kind of went, as soon as I saw that, I knew you were talking to me. And it was quite a sort of like emotional attachment for a lot of people, because I think sport and cycling had ostracised the fat person quite a lot. There was just nothing for that fat person at all. There's the sort of the clubs weren't really focused towards them. They weren't really interested in, you know, somebody that they had to wait for at the top of the hills, that kind of thing. My husband was just really lucky that he went out with a really great group of people who were prepared to wait for him, and you know, it straight away it kind of really took off. And then what we found on social media was that lots of people were saying to us, oh, I did an event on Saturday and there was another guy wearing your jersey, and I went over to him and I had a chat, and here's a photograph of us. And so there was a real bond, and actually we have found that over the course of the years, that if you're wearing a Fat Lad jersey, you instantly get like 50,000 friends, because if you go past somebody that's wearing a Fat Lad or Fat Lass jersey, or if you turn up to the cafe stop and somebody else is wearing one of our jerseys, it's an instant rapport that you've got with that person. The brand is just so, I guess it's so warm and it's so friendly that people feel like they can just approach somebody. I mean, it'd be kind of funny if you walked over to somebody because they'd got, you know, sort of like one of the elite sports brands, like a Rafa top on. I just don't think that ever happens. It's just not a thing. But for us, it's a really normal thing that people just feel part of a really big, lovely, warm community.
And listening to you now, Lynn, people might be familiar with the name Fat Lad at the Back because they might have watched Dragon's Den. You were on it back in 2014. First of all, I mean, that must be quite a daunting experience, walking out there to try and pitch your idea to these millionaire investors. What was that experience like for you?
It is actually quite nerve-wracking. My husband has presented to people in his business capacity all over the world, and he's presented to groups of 20 and 50 and 100 and 500. And he kind of put his finger on it because he said, when you walk into the Dragon's Den, you have nothing, you have no props, you don't even have a notebook with you or anything at all. You're very exposed, and you just have to stand in front of some people and sort of like tell your story and try to remember what it is that, you know, and it's such an alien environment with the cameras there, and the whole thing is it's very weird. You know, when we walked into Dragon's Den, we genuinely thought they were going to love us, and we thought we were going to have the dragons arguing over us, and like, you know, we were going to be sat there spoilt for choice about who we picked. We were really quite surprised that they did not like the brand, and that they, you know, especially Kelly's reaction, which was sort of abject horror.
Your presentation for me is so flawed. Most people don't want to think they're becoming middle-aged, or that they're overweight, or they don't want that pointed out to them.
Okay.
I don't kind of get the positive out of it.
I think when old people return to, like, go back to the gym or go cycling or do all of those things, they want to feel like they fit in.
But how are they going to feel like that if you've got Fat Lad at the back? Do you know what I mean? It's just,
I understand what you're saying, but sometimes it's easier for somebody to almost take the mickey out of themselves and go, I know I'm going to be the Fat Lad at the back.
Possibly some, but not everybody.
It was a bit daunting for us. It was quite surprising, but I think that for me really cemented the idea that actually when people were offended by the name, it said more about their personal attitude to fat and perhaps their prejudice than it did our brand name. And I don't think people are to blame for their attitude to fat, because I think it's something that we've grown up with. It's something that's been indoctrinated into us for many years, that fat is a bad thing. But I think now we have a great opportunity now with the social changes that have occurred, and with what's happening today with World Obesity Day, that we can actually start to change that rhetoric and start to inform people a little bit better about what being fat is, and the connection between fat and health and food and all of those things. And also I think the main thing for me is that we have a community of fat people who are seriously fit athletes, and that's something that I really want to promote. We try to promote that a lot, but they achieve amazing things. They do ultramarathons, they cycle up mountains that are in the Tour de France, you know, they do incredible things, and we need to dispel this myth that thin is fit and that fat is not.
I must be, I mean, if I was to put myself in your shoes, Lynn, it must be quite satisfying almost proving the dragons wrong now, that your brand has been so successful, that people really embrace the names that you use, the terminology you use in your company. I mean, I know you'll probably say, oh, well, you know, they have their own opinion, that's their choice. But it must be quite good to think, oh, well, actually, look what we managed to do.
Well, I mean, one doesn't like to be smug, does one? But you